president's speech delivered at the State Department was a combination of carrots and sticks. He announced new aid to support democracy in Egypt and Tunisia, strongly condemned Syria's president, and made clear where the United States stands on change in the region.
We support political and economic reform in the Middle East and North Africa that can meet the legitimate aspirations of ordinary people throughout the region. Our support for these principles is not a secondary interest. Today, I want to make it clear that it is a top priority that must be translated into concrete actions and supported by all of the diplomatic, economic, and strategic tools at our disposal.
On Syria, Mr. Obama said President Bashar al-Assad's government has chosen the path of murder and mass arrests. He said the Syrian people have shown their courage in demanding a transition to democracy.
President Assad now has a choice. He can lead that transition or get out of the way. The Syrian government must stop shooting demonstrators and allow peaceful protests. They must release political prisoners and stop unjust arrests. They must allow human rights monitors to have access to cities like Daraa, and start a serious dialogue to advance a democratic transition.
Mr. Obama acknowledged that friends in the region, referring to Yemen and Bahrain, have not reacted to demands for change in a way consistent with core principles opposing violence and supporting universal rights. On Libya, he said time is working against Colonel Muammar Gaddafi, and that when he inevitably leaves or is forced from power, a transition to a democratic Libya can proceed. Mr. Obama linked the wave of upheaval across the region with unmet economic needs.
After all, politics alone has not put protesters into the streets. The tipping point for so many people is the more constant concern of putting food on the table and providing for a family.
Mr. Obama said the Israeli-Palestinian conflict has cast a shadow over the Middle East for decades, but he rejected suggestions that sweeping changes in the region make it impossible to break the current impasse.
At a time when the people of the Middle East and North Africa are casting off the burdens of the past, the drive for a lasting peace that ends the conflict and resolves all claims is more urgent than ever.
The president said Israel and a future Palestinian state should be based on pre-1967 borders with what he called mutually agreed swaps, so secure and recognized borders are established for both states. But he said Palestinians must recognize that efforts to delegitimize Israel will end in failure, and that Palestinian leaders will not achieve peace or prosperity if Hamas insists on a path of terror and rejection. Mr. Obama called the U.S. commitment to Israel's security unshakable.
But precisely because of our friendship, it's important that we tell the truth. The status quo is unsustainable, and Israel too must act boldly to advance a lasting peace.
On Friday, President Obama will be able to gauge Israeli reaction face-to-face when he sits down with visiting Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at the White House for talks on how to revive Middle East peace efforts.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Dan Robinson, VOA News, the White House.
Thank you.